Mate, it's been a good season so far. Obviously, last year we had difficult times, a lot of challenges for everybody, a lot of changes for many as well. And coming into this season, I think that the races started gradually and then they're coming thick and fast, and they're churning out like every weekend. I've got another race coming up this weekend. The weekend just gone, Emma Deary won her race. A few weekends ago, Claire Weller and Davina finished well outlawed. Claire got a third on the podium, Davina fourth. Also Jill Fullen and another one of my athletes done the relay. They come third overall. They actually got I think they got under 10 hours as well for that. Yeah, Luella won her age group. She came 8th overall. A few weekends before that, Chantel finished third at Bolton. Great result for her. But with Chantel's, for me, the performance outshone the actual position, because the mental aptitude she actually showed in that race was just phenomenal. She had a win early part of the year. Pasco, she won her race.
These are all, a lot of these as well, transition now to full as well.
Yeah. It's like, mate, there's been so many races actually. I've actually kind of forgot some of them. Claire Weller's done a few of the outlaw kind of like middle distance ones. She finished third in the PT at Holcombe, and I think it was a fifth or a sixth at outlaw half. Yeah, mate, it's been some really good performances so far this year.
So for you as a coach, watching these guys come up and start getting some podium finishes as well, because I think a lot of age group athletes, they don't go into it looking for podiums, they go into it looking for finishes.
Yeah.
So for you to see people in that progression, I mean, you spend a lot of time with these people, you know what I mean? How does that make you feel as a coach, watching them come through and progress in the way that they progress?
Oh yeah, I mean, from day dot when an athlete comes on board with me, it's all about the desire and the aspiration and goals that they've actually got. And I like nothing more than to prove to an athlete, when I can see that they're passionate about something and when they really want to achieve something, I turn their kind of desire into my desire, and I want to prove to them that actually with hard work and dedication they can actually achieve it. You know, there's a lot of things that need to be aligned for them to achieve those things as well, like dedication, hard work, perseverance, patience. The dynamic needs to be right. But when they actually do start progressing and developing and achieving those things, yeah, it's quite a magical moment really, because you see them smiling, and that's priceless. You know, so actually it takes away the fact they've actually got on the podium. What actually has happened there, that's the realisation of that you've proved to them actually they can achieve stuff. And you know, I mean, we've spoke before, but everyone's got their own story and journey and stuff like that. But yeah, it's quite a special moment.
It's a lot of work that goes into someone to do. This ain't something that happens within like a few months, is it? This is stuff that you work on with these athletes for a long time to get them to this stage. You know, we've been under you for 3 years now, something like that. And touch words, you know, we've been injury free.
Yeah.
You know, we're not in it for times, but our distances are just getting better and better. We're stronger and stronger.
Yep.
You know, we run loads, so you know, it's something that takes a long time for someone to get to that stage, doesn't it? You know, you think of Chantel, for example. You know, she's had a podium finish. The race is nothing, is it? It's the build up to it.
Yeah. I always look at it, and being guided by Brett on a lot of these things, you know, over the years, you know, it's a 4-year thing. You've got to look at, it's a 2 or 4 year progression phase, and even then, actually, there's still time to come, and nothing happens overnight, because you got to build that particular individual into the kind of athlete that they want to become, and again, there needs to be a lot of things that actually align: attitude, dedication, understanding, aptitude, application, understanding the training, the balance, the management, the balance of You know, if you're an age group athlete, the balance between life outside of being an athlete, life stresses, you know, not having a good day, having a great day in comparison to a bad day, you know, talking it through, what that actually means, you know, what the execution will actually mean if they do it wrong or they do it right. And it's all those things, and that's time, you know, progressing. And actually when someone comes into the sport and they're raw to it and they don't really understand or they're not actually aware of it, there's many conversations and you know, and kind of debates that go into that to actually kind of break it down for the individual to actually understand and learn. And it is all a learning phase. And I've always said, and I've always been kind of very open to actually say, every individual that comes on board with me educates me again. And that doesn't matter what level, whether they're a beginner or whether they're a pro, they become a teacher to me. You know, even though I'm there to actually guide and teach them, they also become a teacher to me. So I treat every individual situation fresh from a blank canvas, really.
So, talking about big wins as well, you had an athlete who recently left you.
Yep.
But has actually took quite a big podium finish.
Yep.
At the weekend anyway. How does that feel for you? Is that still a proud moment for you, even though she's not under you?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Kerry Hickson, and as you know, mate, I mean, and we'll talk about the other two in more depth in a minute, but you was there at the start of Kerry's journey and also Claire Weller and Davina's journey, and you know, that was always my little projects. They came on to me, if you want to put a funny spin to it, as choppers. I know Kerry uses the word chopper quite a lot. But you know, and actually, funny enough, when she came out to Gran Canaria, Kerry, I nicknamed her Mary Poppins, because she literally turned up with almost like a bike and a basket on the front. And you know, and I remember having a conversation with you around the pool, saying to you, you know, mark my words, I'll make her into a champion one day. And it has been an incredible journey. And you know, yeah, she's not with me. She left me in December, late December. She's moved on to another coach, but I was there at Outlaw. You know, we was together 5 years. I built that athlete really, you know, over a 5-year period. So to watch her execute a race like she did, I couldn't have been prouder. It was an amazing, amazing moment. You know, and I've had a lot of messages since Kerry left me and the result she actually got and stuff, and asked me questions and stuff like that. That doesn't really need to be discussed. But for me, you know, things happen, you know, in this sport. You know, athletes leave coaches and you know, that's just coaching. But, you know, there's been a lot of work that's gone in to get Kerry to be the athlete she actually is today, and she's moved on to what I would regard, and I've got every respect for the coaches actually with, and I hope they go on to achieve some big things, and I wouldn't be too surprised whether they do as well, and I wish them all the very best in their journey. But for me and my own part of watching her achieve what she achieved at Outlaw was quite a special moment for me. And we've had we had our little kind of moment together as well on the race course. I think she was on her last lap, and I kind of jeered her up a little bit, and you know, told her that it was a magnificent performance by her. You know, and I've had a text exchange with her since. You know, and that's all that really matters, really. You know, it doesn't really matter what's kind of like expressed on social media. You know, this is part and parcel of the sport. But yeah, I'm very proud of her achievements.
Moving on to Davina, you've got to be equally as proud of Davina.
Yeah, another one, Davina came aboard with me, and this is the thing, you know, like Davina and Claire turned up on age group camps, and that's when we started to working with each other, and they were, for a better word, choppers. But the thing is, like this comes back really from a situation I read about with Brett once, you know, turning age groupers into professional athletes or making them almost a professional athlete. And okay, I've not done that with Davina, but I've done that with Claire. Claire's a professional athlete now. But you know, it was a challenge of mine. You know, like Brett said to me once in Sam Ritz, you know, what do you want to do? Do you want to kind of work with some of my up and coming pros, or do you want to go and do it yourself? And my question to him actually was, what would you do? Or what did you do? And he said, well, I didn't have the opportunity to work with pros. I had to go and make them into pros. And I was like, well, that's what I'm going to do then. And actually, you've seen that, you've been at that journey from the start and watched Davina, Claire and Kerry go from the transition of being complete beginners in the sport, really raw, not really knowing what the hell it's all about, going, you know, from, you know, you're seeing Claire now, she's a professional athlete. She came third in the same race where Kerry won, and Davina came fourth. You know, for me to have Kerry, Claire and Davina, okay, Kerry's not with me, but to see, because I was there at the start of that journey, and obviously you've seen that, to watch them achieve that result, that's quite special for them. Yeah, it is special for me, but it's also like to prove to them that they could achieve that. That's quite a special thing. And you know, I hope they all three of them go on and achieve more things, and I'm pretty sure they will do. And it's only the start for all three of them, really, if I'm really honest. So yeah, so Davina, mate, I couldn't be prouder of her performance, because she never believed that she could actually do an iron distance race. So for her to finish, yeah, that was both Claire and Davina's long distance debut. So, you know, I always knew it was going to be a tough day at the office for both of those two, because you know, I never publicly put it out there. I knew Kerry was going to be the favourite. You know, for many years I built her. I always knew she was going to be a tough cookie to beat. But I always knew how my guys, Davina and Claire, I knew what they needed to do at the same time to put themselves into a position where they had a fighting chance. For Claire, I knew she had to have the bike of her life to at least have a chance of getting on the podium. You know, so I knew, mate, I knew the race, how that race was going to pan out, and actually the way it finished was actually how I had it on paper. But yeah, it was, you know, to have Davina finish fourth, yeah, it was special. It was quite special.
So just touching a little bit on Chantel as well now, like
yep.
Her finish.
Yep.
Oh God, man, like I'm proud of that, because obviously we sponsor her.
Yep.
You know, I'm proud of that as
yep.
well. What an achievement for her.
Yeah. Again, like different levels, and you know there is levels in terms of where she was when she came on board with me. But you've been part of her journey. You've seen her journey also. Which, you know, yes, it's kind of like a privilege, the fact that you've seen those kind of journeys and seen them kind of flourish. But like, yeah, you're a massive part of Chantel's journey now, and to see, I mean, let's start at the beginning. She won a race, a 70.3 race, at the beginning of the year. That was in March in Spain. And then she stayed in Spain to do the Girona, the Spanish Championships, the Girona race, which was a PTO race, and she finished fourth there. She'd done it. That was her debut iron distance race as well, and she executed a great race, you know, for her first iron distance race. And then off the back of that, well, actually, before she went out to Spain, I said to her, "I want you to do Bolton," and I'm not so sure she was massively keen. But once we'd done Girona, once she settled down, and she was like, "I want to do Bolton. I'm confident I can give that a crack," and it gave me a smile really, because I knew she was up for the challenge. And I knew she had to go into that race with bite in order to achieve something special. But what, for me, and I was at Bolton, what I see in Bolton that is critical for me in understanding what she's like as an athlete and what she can do and what her potential is going forward, was the heart and desire that she actually had. She's done really well in the swim. She led for a good part of the swim, or most of the swim really. She exited the water with Nikki Bartley and Kat Matthews. And then, not really too sure what happened on the first lap, but on the second lap of the bike, she was leading the bike, her and Nikki. Kat was behind, and then I think she held the lead for a period of time, but obviously then it all changes. The weather changed as well. Kat went into the lead, then she dropped back, Chantel. I mean, then let's not forget she's up against, I mean, Kat went into that race, I think she was ranked 10th in the world. I'm not 100% sure where Nikki Bartlett is, but they're world-class athletes, you know, and Chantel's an up-and-coming athlete. She held her own, you know, and my message to her was to make sure that they know you're there to have a fight, you know. Look, you know, levels kind of like showing the end, but that she's still developing. And when she came out of transition 2, with a marathon to go, I knew that I was going to find out then whether Chantel's got the goods to go up to that next level. And you know, you have to watch these things as a coach every step of the way in an athlete's progression. But she searched for something deep that day, and she found something quite deep as well. And that is the biggest thing that I got out of that race. Yeah, considering the year that we had last year, and actually this year coming into this year has not been plain sailing. Yeah, it's turning into a really good year.
Unreal. So what about the ultra mudders, like getting to the core of the backbone of Perry's coaching?
Well, they, I believe, had a 50k ultra run, which they entered on hardly any training, which was pretty special. But me being me, I gave them a race plan to follow with strict orders, and they executed the race unbelievably.
6 hours 55.
That's pretty good going. Yeah, pretty good going. I just want to add one other thing. Jill Fulham. So Jill Fulham obviously went back to the outlaw race the first time since she won. She obviously was in the relay, but not a lot of people know. A lot of people within the circle know, but not a lot of people know she's emigrating to New Zealand. She's got a race this weekend. Probably could be her last triathlon in the UK shores. It's an ultra triathlon, and it's this weekend. And for me, I think she's going to go and give it a good crack. But she emigrates in about 3 weeks' time to New Zealand. So I just wanted to give her a special mention. I'll still be working with her, and we'll be concentrating on ultra running, so she'll be part of the ultra crew.